This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 1044 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you, one day at a time. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip is from the Horses in the Morning show. Show host Glenn is joined by Kate Neligan with an informative and fun list of the 5 things that horses teach us. And we'll get right to our tip after this important message from Kentucky Performance Products.
He was her first love, the one that started it all. He taught her how to master the posting trot and navigate her first hunter course. They spent hours together exploring the trails and hanging out in the barn. His name was doodled on every page in her school notebook. His coat gleamed in the sun as he met her at the gate each day, snuffling for a treat. From the first time she saw him poking his head out of the stall to the last time she patted him goodbye, he was, and always will be, her everything. This love story is brought to you by Nalox Advanced, providing complete support for a healthy digestive tract, which reduces the risk of colic and digestive upset. The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products. Call 859-873-2974 or visit kppusa.com to order today.
Well, our first guest today, I'm excited to speak to her. Her name is Kate Neligan, and she is a life and career coach and founder of Synergy TV. She was previously vice president of digital marketing at Lionsgate, and she is also a blogger at the Huffington Post and a motivational speaker. She even did a TED Talk, which we've actually covered a few of them here over the years. So let's welcome Kate to the show this morning. Good morning, Kate.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, are you West Coast?
I am. It's a little early here, but I'm glad to be on the show.
Well, go ahead. Let's get started with the self-improvement tips that you have for us. Now, these are based, though, on what horses teach us, right?
Exactly. So I call the horses my co-coaches, and we really partner together when we work with clients. And, equine coaching benefits a lot of different people, but these are sort of general tips that I've really, if not learned from them, they've really honed in on these in my life and in the lives of the clients that I've worked with. And the first is really about being authentic. And the horses celebrate authenticity. A horse is nothing ever than a horse. But as humans, sometimes we can wear a lot of masks and pretend that we're fine when we're not. So the thing that a horse does well is they own their feelings, they own their upset, they own their fear, and they're very clear about it. And so I think, as humanity...
Oh, you've met my pony, have you?
Fear or upset? Which one?
All of the above. He is very authentic to the core and will let you know what he's thinking at any given moment without any hesitation.
Yeah, and not that we necessarily need to go around emoting all of the time, but I think that we can really own our feelings. And my quick tip on that is really, if you don't feel comfortable sharing them with people, to write them down and release them. So any fear, any anxiety, any shame, the best way to deal with it is to first dump it and write it down, and then you can burn that list or shred that list. But it's really important not to stuff stuff because it just festers over time, and I feel like really the most important thing is to just own your feelings, admit when you're feeling afraid, know that it's just a natural emotion the way happiness and joy is, and we don't need to apologize for it, but we do need to clear it so we can move to higher and better emotions.
Well, right about that, because Scooter, there's my pony's name, who's a Hackney pony, by the way, so that gives you a little indication too. But he, whenever he acts out, 5 minutes later, he's not fretting on it, is he? He's just off onto his next thing. So you're kind of right
exactly
about
right.
that.
Yeah. I feel like, I've heard
I'm still fretting about what he did, but he's not.
Well, that's because we as humans take things personally, and that's what I love about working with horses is they're very clear they're clear mirrors, and so they show us our stuff, but then they can also show us the strategies of how to move through it faster. And that's what they do. They do get over things very quickly, and we need to as humans as well. We do not need to hold grudges.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so the next one is to make time for connection and for silence. And if you think about a herd, that's a lot of what they do is they're always in connection. They're always communicating through synergy, really. And they're in silence a lot of times, and they form their bonds that way. And so, another word for silence could be meditation, but really it's to take at least 5 minutes a day, and it's a great thing to do. I do it sometimes before or after I ride, and to really get quiet. And as we get quiet, we slow our breath down, and we slow our thoughts down, and we become a lot more centered. It makes us better riders. It makes us better people. So to take 5 minutes for silence, something I do often, we do short meditations about just being in nature before we start the equine coaching, and it just really helps people get centered and stop, get out of their heads.
This is the second time I've heard this in a matter of about 4 days. Dr. Wendy Ying, who is a veterinarian but a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, that's what she did as her tip on the driving radio show last week, was when you go outside, leave your electronics, leave your phone, have some quiet time with your horse, and without all of the distractions of the world, just spend some time in the field, do whatever, but just have that time that's just the two of you. They know the difference. And, she even related that to dogs and cats, too. I think less so with the cats. I don't think they care either way. But I think the dogs care. But.
My cats are a little more doggish, so they definitely
yeah.
care.
Oh, are they? Okay.
But the horses so appreciate it. I mean, we get so busy sometimes when we run to the barn and then we run back, and the horses, our bonds are just kind of hanging out together. And so it's taken me a while, but I've learned to just pause when I'm there with them and sit. And I've had some of my best moments ever just kind of sitting with them and reflecting. It's powerful. So that's my second tip for sure. And the third is what horses are so great at mirroring is movement. And, we always hear New Year's resolutions have to do with exercise and food, but there's something about, I use the word movement instead of exercise because it feels less controlled. And really it's about finding the movement that works for you, whether it be dance or yoga or, simple forms of expression, but to really be doing it every single day. Riding is certainly obviously one of the greatest forms of movement because it's a great hip opener, which really releases a lot of great hormones, but also to really be conscious of how we're moving in the saddle and how we're moving in life. So movement's huge. It's one of the great ways to kind of create new energy in your life, and to stretch. To really start when you get in the saddle and stretch. So take a moment to be silent. Take a moment to stretch. It's two things that can really change just everything in your life. They're powerful.
And of course, yoga on the ground and yoga on horses is one of the most popular upcoming things now. I mean, Wellington apparently has more yoga going on right now with all the horse people down there over the winter than they've ever had. That is one of the big movements down there is yoga. So exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, it's something I've been wanting to experience myself. I haven't done yoga on horseback yet, so it's on my list for this year for sure. Then the fourth is to acknowledge yourself. So this is something that we often do with horses. We're so taught to pat them on the neck, say good boy, good girl, to acknowledge them when they're doing a behavior that we want to reinforce. But we don't often think about doing this with ourselves. And so, again, 5 minutes a day, this practice can change your life. If you write down all the things from your day that you're proud of, that you feel like you did well. And it's not just also about actions that you took, but really ways that you showed up. So, we often acknowledge each other only on these big, occasions, but really for us to start to form deeper levels of self-confidence and self-love, the best way is to start this practice of acknowledging ourselves. It's not selfish. It's just a different filter of noticing how we're good people and the things that we're doing well in the world, because it reinforces it the way it does when we acknowledge horses. Very good. And you have a fifth one on here that I think is important too. And I wanted to hear what you had to say about it because the word's just joy or happiness, I would
Yeah. Well, horses are so, for me, a mirror of joy. Like, they just enjoy, a lot of them enjoy being a horse. And you know they do. And they celebrate and they have just full expression, with their bodies. And often when I bring people to the ranch where I work, they are so joyful themselves. They just feel immediate connection with either like that younger part of them that felt really joyful and innocent. So the thing that I love to coach, I have a video about this too, is to create a joy list and to write down everything that brings you joy, big or small, and make it as long as you can. I think my list is over 100. And to write down these specific things, and then at the beginning of each week to schedule one in your calendar, to carve out time for it, to pick a number yourself or to have a loved one pick a number from your list, and then do that week. And if it doesn't work that week, pick another number. But it's just so important that we spend time cultivating joy in our lives, and it bleeds into all other areas. And find ways to make your riding practice or your time with horses more joyful. What might that look for you? For me, like, I'll bring a ball out sometimes, and we'll experiment with which horses are going to be fun with a ball. So it's really about creating time for that. So making a joy list is one of my favorite coaching tools.
This may sound. I think if you listen to your list of the 5 things and you think about them, they may for some people seem a little selfish. But that's the point, right? That's what you're really trying to get at, is to spend some more time on yourself, because by spending more time on yourself, you're able to help others in a better way, whether it's your family or your friends or your horses or your animals.
That's exactly right. I think as a society, especially in America, we have so been trained to put other people first. And, service also includes ourselves. It doesn't just mean to serve others. So it's so important. It's the whole oxygen mask analogy of put your oxygen mask on first so that you're able to do it for others. When we're burnt out, and we're no good to anyone, and we know that. And when, there's also that funny saying of happy wife, happy life, but there really is an opportunity. Yeah, it's about self-love. And so, I'm on a mission to really bring more of that to the world for myself as well. It's something I've struggled with in the past, really beating myself up a lot. So now it's about what are the simple tools that can bring us more of these great qualities like presence and joy and self-confidence. Like, these are not bad things for anyone to have. So I'm advocating the 5-minute to start with.
Well, and what we do too sometimes, talk about spend time with the horses, and I love doing this, and it sounds silly, and I think people in the neighborhood think we're silly. I don't know if, Jamie, if you've ever done this, but you only have half an hour. You don't have time to tack up, and even harnessing up and hooking to a cart takes longer. So it even takes longer to do what I do. We just take the horses for a walk around the block, around the neighborhood. And we have a horsey neighborhood, so we can kind of do that and be safe about it. But, we'll just take them for a walk around the block. It'll be a half an hour, and it's that quality time you're talking about without interruptions, and they get a mental stimulus. And, it seems silly, and people kind of laugh at us. But we do it probably once or twice a week. We just take the horses for a walk on the lead.
That's
and do
nice.
it that way. Yeah, so it is kind of fun that way. Well, the website, thank you so much for joining us with this. It's consciousrockstar.com, not conscientious.
Well, that about takes care of it. You can find links to today's guests, topics, or products at horsetipdaily.com. This podcast was made possible through the generous support of Kentucky Performance Products and listeners like you. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.